I hit my goal way faster than I had ever intended. And that's when it was just like, it's just hockey stick since then. I mean, I've done a bunch of crazy things. I ended up moving my family from Toledo, Ohio down to Dallas like 6 months after starting with Ryan. As soon as I got down here, I started doing some things around here. He made me VP of the company. I broke $1 million in sales for Ryan within 10 months of starting at the company.
$1 million.
I was in that, American dream, working 9 to 5, weekends off, married, house, all that jazz. Bills are paid, living good. But I knew that I wasn't fulfilled, right? Like I wasn't happy selling insurance. It's a very thankless job. So shout out to anybody that does it, because it's a grind and it's not easy. It's very rewarding when it works, but it's tough. And so I said, went to my wife. I'm like, I've got this opportunity to go and work with this guy, and I'm 150% sure that it will work, but this is what I'm going to have to do. I'm going to have to quit the insurance agency and completely start basically from zero. I had a couple consulting gigs and I had a little money coming in, so it wasn't like totally zero, but I mean, to start over after spending 6 years invested in a career that I thought I was going to have for the next 30 was kind of a scary thing.
Absolutely.
But there's a Steve Harvey video out there on YouTube called Jump. If any of you ever seen it, it's an amazing video where he talks about, like, at some point you have to jump. You have to be willing to dive off the cliff and know that your parachute will open eventually, but it might not right away, right? You got to make that leap. And so March 1st, 2019, I officially left the insurance business and came to work full-time with Break Free Academy. And
every successful person.
Whoa. Yep. See?
Hold it up. I'll
And
put it in the comments for you guys.
So March 1st, 2019, I made the jump. I quit my job at 6 years at the insurance agency, came to work to basically start over as a full-time support guy. And within 90 days, I was selling $100,000 plus a month in products and coaching and consulting for Ryan, plus doing my own thing on the side. So it was scary. And when I left that job of making, $4 to $5 grand a month, I set a thing for myself. I'm like, if I can't be making 10 grand a month minimum every month by June, which was 90 days, I was like, I'll quit and I'll go back to selling insurance, because I know I can make a comfortable living there. The first month I made 8. Second month I made like 9 and some change. And then April, the next month, like in June, I made just over 10 grand. It was like 11 and some change.
Nice.
So it's like, I hit my goal way faster than I had ever intended. And that's when it was just like, it's just hockey stick since then. I mean, I've done a bunch of crazy things. I ended up moving my family from Toledo, Ohio down to Dallas like 6 months after starting with Ryan. As soon as I got down here, I started doing some things around here. He made me VP of the company. I broke $1 million in sales for Ryan within 10 months of starting at the company. I was the first person to ever do that.
Everybody drop a congrats in the comments. $1 million closed in 10 months. First person in the company to do it besides Ryan. That's awesome.
Yep. It was crazy. And so, yeah, man, it's ever since then, I've just been on this crazy train of like, the more value I give to the people around me, the more I try to help others, the more the universe has returned that to me in kind. And it's, yeah, the money's great and that's cool. And I love, making more money, but at the same time, just like I said, getting to watch people see the stuff that I'm giving to them and take it and implement it and be successful. There's no greater feeling than that.
Totally. And what I thought was so cool about it was like, I saw you progress through a lot of that journey and, go on and launch your own product of closer memes. And I'm in there. I love it. I use it all the time. My whole social team uses it. Like it's so cool to see how adding humor into social media translates directly to sales. So if everybody out there watching, if you guys are ready to learn how to make $1 million with memes, just go ahead and type $1 million memes in the comments, guys, because this is gonna be cool. I'm excited to see like how you describe it and how people can get started with this. Besides buying closer memes, I mean, it's like what, under $100 or something like that. So
$47 for the closer memes course. It's kind of a no-brainer.
That's closermemes.com, right?
Closermemes.com. That's the one.
Nice.
So,
I'll drop that one below.
Yeah, memes, man.
Yeah.
That
So
was like another one of those.
How did that come to be?
So I've always loved memes. Like I have that group of friends where we always are finding the funniest, weirdest memes and sending them to each other. And at one point, as I was kind of coming up on social media and getting more connected with people, I just really fell in love with the GIF search bar. So like in threads and comments inside of groups, like people would be talking and sharing and whatever. And I would just come in and find like a real funny GIF to add to the conversation. And so I just kind of created this, like, let's put it this way. A picture's worth 1,000 words, right? And so when you can come into a conversation and you can drop the perfect meme or the perfect GIF, you can say a whole lot with just one little piece of content. So I was like going in and watching conversations and looking for keywords or looking for like certain scenarios that I could like pick out. And then I would just go find a funny GIF and add it to the conversation. Because that's really like with Facebook groups, you got to think of it like a big party, right? And you know, there's all these little conversations and, you know, people, these little groups inside having talks and conversing with each other in the big party. So my thing wasn't like, let me come in and make a bunch of posts and try to be like the cool guy, because that's the loud dude that shows up at the party and it's like, hey, what's up, everybody? Come talk to me. Like, yeah, you might get a couple people that talk to you, but you're kind of a D-bag too. If you go in and you just like wander up to this group of people and you kind of join in their conversation and you add some value and maybe you're a little funny laugh, and then you move on to the next conversation and add a little value and have a little laugh. Like that's what I was doing, was just kind of like moseying my way through the party, having conversations, creating rapport, talking to people, getting to know who they were, building that relationship, right? Like know, like, and trust factor. And I was doing it with GIFs and memes, just being a silly dude, because that's kind of who I am. And I realized that I was seeing like a lot of connection and a lot of rapport was happening with that. And then when I started selling more, inevitably, like all of us, we have a lot of people that go ghost on us, right? We have a great conversation. We make them an offer. They tell you, hey, I'm totally interested. Like, let's do it. You send them the sign up link and then dust in the wind. And so I was kind of getting a little bit of annoyed with it. So I'm like, you're telling me this is exactly what you want. Like, what's going on? And so I started sending this Jim Carrey GIF. So there's a scene from Ace Ventura where he's like looking in the camera like this. and on the bottom it said, "You there?" ? And so when I'd send this, like the sign up link to people and they would go ghost, I'd wait a day or two and I'd send them that Jim Carrey GIF. And all of a sudden I started seeing like crazy response rates. Like I'm talking 70, 80 some % response rates versus a typical canned message of, hey, just wanted to follow up. Hey, are you still there? Like, do you want to buy this? Are you still trying to move forward? Like, yeah, canned messaging doesn't work. So for me, I'm like sending these GIFs and getting crazy response rates. People that haven't responded in 3 days, a week, 2 weeks, a month. I start hitting them with these GIFs, and within 5 minutes, they're responding back like, holy shit, that's hilarious. Hey, sorry, I forgot about the conversation, or I got busy. You know, there's always an excuse. But then they were buying. And I'm going, well, that's crazy. How, like, why does that work? And so I started telling a couple of friends about it. I'm like, hey, I want you guys to try this, because I don't know if it's just a fluke or if it's really something different, but I think I'm onto something with these memes and these GIFs and the follow-up. And so I created a meme, like a custom meme for a buddy of mine. He's like, yeah, I got this dude that's been ghosting on me for like a month now, but he keeps saying he's interested and he's going to follow up with me, and then he disappears. So there's a meme of a skeleton sitting on a park bench. And I got into an app on my phone and I created this meme that was like, me just waiting for John to return my call. And I sent it to my buddy and I was like, hey, send him this GIF or this meme and see what happens. And he's like, are you sure? I was like, what do you have to lose? So he sends the meme. Within 10 minutes, the guy responded and spent 10 grand with him. Wow. And that's when I was like, wait a second now. It worked for me. It's working for some other people. Like, what's the psychology behind this? Like, what is it that makes the memes and the GIFs so powerful? Why am I getting such crazy increased response rates? Why am I seeing these deals closing all of a sudden when I've been hitting them up forever with your typical like follow-up? And again, I told you, like, follow-up is my thing, right? So I'm always reaching out to people, but like, what was it about the memes and the GIFs that made it stand out? So I started thinking about it. Well, first of all, memes are a pattern interrupt that nobody expects you to just send like a spicy meme their way when you're in the middle of like a pretty intense sales conversation. So it's an interrupt. It's different. It's kind of like a pattern interrupt in marketing. You know, you put some crazy image or some crazy video and it gets people to stop scrolling. So that I'm like, okay, so it's a pattern interrupt. And then I started thinking, well, it's outside the box. It's different, right? It's not your typical canned response. And I can do it in a way that was more about like fun, you know, because like people buy from people. They don't buy from logos. They don't buy from corporations. Most people hate corporations. They're like, oh, damn corporations, they don't pay taxes. They do, but that's a whole different conversation. You know, but it's like they buy from people. And so when you can create an emotional connection with somebody, that sales process becomes more casual. It becomes more like personal. It's like you and I having this conversation right now. It's a little more of a casual conversation versus me being like, all right, Arne, I know you want to sign up for this. You've already told me this is what it's going to be like. I need you to give me your credit card information. That's not fun. The other thing, and this is what I think is like the key factor and why it works so well across every industry that we've tried it in, business to business, business to consumer, enterprise level business, like it works everywhere, no matter the industry, no matter the market. Everybody loves memes. Like, look at the year 2020. It's literally been saved because of memes. All the memes that are out there are like, they're keeping people happy. They're making them laugh. They're creating that emotional trigger where it's like either, you know, like some political memes, people get really triggered by them, but they get shared. They get engaged in. They get, you know, there's a response to it. So not that I'm telling you to go send political memes, but I'm saying like that's the emotional trigger, right? When someone can see an image that they're familiar with, they're like, okay, what's funny about this? What makes it the meme? And so that's where everybody loves memes. And the psychology behind it is people always want to be the first to find the funniest meme. Because like you're probably like me, if you're watching this, you've got a group of friends that you send silly memes to, and you guys are always battling to be like, who can find the funniest meme? Who's got the best new meme? Who's got the viral, like, who can share it before everybody else? Mm-hmm. And so when people see a meme, they always stop to look at it because they want to see if it's funny. They want to see if they can be the first person in their group to share that new hot meme before it takes fire. So there's that. The other thing is people are designed, like humans want to see the difference. Like we're always looking for what's out of place. So when you send someone a meme, if they've already seen it, like it's like the Baby Yoda memes and the lady yelling at the cat meme, the ones that went really viral this year. When you send that to someone, they're looking at it because they're like, okay, I recognize this image. What is it that's different about this image that's, you know, stand out, right? So like, what is it that makes this image special? Then they're like, oh, well, it's this, it's that. I see where they changed this or changed that. And that's when you really start getting that someone's attention, because again, we're seeing thousands and thousands of ads every day. I mean, if you're on social media, like every 3 scrolls, you see a new sponsored post or a new ad or something like that. So getting someone to be able to stop scrolling for just a few extra seconds, it does a couple things. First, they're looking at that post longer, so you've got a better chance of getting them with your hook or the copywriting of underneath it. But more importantly, like people are trying to figure out the meme. They want to understand the context. They want to figure, like, people are curious by nature. So they're looking at it, they're reading the image, they're reading the text, they're trying to tie the two together to figure out how it works. And then they're making a decision on if it's funny or not. Well, if you go about it, and this is what I get, you know, real deep into inside the course, is like, how do you take the picture, add your overlay of text, and do it in a way that fits your product or service, right? So how are you emotionally connecting with the person on the other end of that, and then doing it in a way that's promoting your product or service and sharing, you know, people buy for one or two reasons. They're looking to go after the pleasure that they desire, or they want to run away from the pain that they are dealing with. So when you can take the picture and you can tie it to the copy in the meme, the text, and you can have that all tie into your overriding, like, this is what we do to help people, suddenly you've got a really deep hook in their emotions, and you're like, oh, okay, I got it now. That makes sense. And one thing that I've noticed is there are huge numbers of corporations doing this. So like if you look, Wendy's, Chipotle, like that's all they do is share memes on their Instagram page now. Budweiser literally just put out an advertisement trying to find a chief meme officer. So they're looking for people to create memes for their company, and they're paying like $5,000 a month. They're paying pretty good. I should have probably looked into that further. But even like presidential election candidates are trying to use memes because they understand that it connects with people. People love memes. And so that's ultimately like what I talk about in the course, is getting very clear on who your ideal client avatar is, right? And that's a lot of people that are marketers. Like that's what you're doing when you're working with your clients. Okay, who are we selling this stuff to? What are we selling? Why are they buying it? These are the kind of things that I talk about in the course. And then how to take all of that information and package it up in a meme and put it in front of the right people. Because again, there's that emotional trigger. And if you can do it in a meme, that picture tells 1,000 words. So you can create a much broader conversation using the meme than typing out 15 paragraphs about how great your company is. If you write out 15 paragraphs, there's a very rare chance someone's going to sit and read it all. But if you post a picture of, let's say, Kramer looking all busted, and it's like Kramer from Seinfeld, for those of you who are younger and don't know, but he's looking all frazzled and wired, and it's like before working with X. And then you find the side-by-side picture of him in the pimp jacket walking down the street with his cane, and it's like after working with X. Now all of a sudden they're like, okay, there's a before and after here. He went from looking all busted and crazy to walking down the street with a pimp coat and a mink coat and a pimp cane. Oh, there's something to that.
Yep.
So that's what I really deep dive into, is the psychology behind the memes, why they're so popular, and then really like where to go and find the most viral templates and how to put them all together and curate them.